And that's how you know we're still talking about the kidnapped students of Igbonla Model College. 25 days on now since 6 boys were kidnapped from Lagos Model College in Epe. The Nigerian police have vowed to bring all those involved in the abduction to book, promising that the boys will regain freedom soon.
We've been staying on the story and we'll continue to follow developments on that particular story. So joining us right now to look at it this time around is a public affairs analyst, Femi Lawson. Many thanks for joining us today on TVC Breakfast.
It's my pleasure.
Morning.
It is 25 days after these boys that they've been abducted. What is your take? What do you think the Nigerian police is not doing enough to get them free?
I think first and foremost, I must specifically say this, that since these children were abducted 25 days ago, I have keenly followed, and I have also followed reports, periodically given by the Nigerian police. But I want to say that all thanks must go to TVC, because I monitor the media a lot, being somebody who is very conversant with that line. And this station is one station that I've consistently talked about this kidnapped. Unfortunately, a lot of Nigerians, including a large section of the civil society, and have been behaving as if nothing has really happened. 6 future governors, 6 future presidents are nowhere to be found for 25 days, and we are behaving as if everything is normal. It's very unfortunate for us as a society that we could have 6 of our very young people been taken away for 25 days, and nothing is really happening in terms of the agitation that should have ministered to the consciousness of these criminal elements who have abducted these girls, to say that no, people are really concerned. Now it's like we've left it to be the business of their parents and past, of course, the police that have been doing a lot. But I think it can be someone else's child tomorrow, and we'll all be here again. It's very unfortunate, but I want to say this, that I have monitored this issue for almost 24 days, and I want to say that the Lagos State Police Command has been doing excellently well, especially when it comes to update about what they have been doing. And I think we must also understand that despite all the shortcomings of the Nigerian police force as a whole, the police currently under the present leadership and the particular commissioner of police we have in Lagos have been very proactive. We must give that to them. Okay,
well, it would seem that parents and some observers may not be entirely impressed with the situation right now. Who would have expected that 25 days into the abduction of these students, they'll still be in the den of these kidnappers? And like you pointed out, it's interesting. Is it that we have just moved on with our lives and left the parents to face whatever pains involved in this, saga?
That is the same in reality. But I think opportunities like this is just one for us to call on Nigerians, to call on those children rights advocates, human rights advocates within our society to lend their voices to what TVC has been doing in the last 24 days to ensure that we demand, as a matter of necessity, not only that the security agencies do their best to get these children, back to us, but to also ensure that we appeal to the consciousness of these criminal elements to release these children for God's sake.
And that seems to be where the challenge is. Do you think these people, following the arrest of Evans last week, who had, in the course of 7 years, defied all attempts to be arrested. He's taken billions and billions of monies, millions of dollars, from victims and all of that. How do we begin to plug the holes? What can people do? Ordinary people, ordinary Nigerians actually do to not only stem the tide of this kidnapping, but actually help out in providing information to police.
Thank you. Crimes in Nigeria on a number of occasions have succeeded because of the nonchalant attitude of our people. A lot of times we feel so unconcerned, and that is what is reflecting that for 25 days we have not found groups discussing this. We have not found agitations. No, not even on the street of Epe, demanding for the release of these children. And it is because a lot of us as Nigerians feels whatever happens in the next compound does not really concern you. But in other climes, the security of the society is never left in the hand of the security agencies. The citizen, for example, in the United Kingdom, is the first police before you, because there are instances we find ourselves, you know, using public utilities.
Just hold your thought. A lot to talk about. Really, we'll come back and you tell us how their conscience can be appealed to, if at all they have some conscience.
Of course, we're looking at the kidnapping of the Bonla Model College 25 days on. Now, as a father, you know, on this show, we've tried to look at the different angles to this kidnapping situation. The security aspect, the psychology, the psyche of the kids involved, their parents, and all of that. Now, as a father yourself, how do you feel that 25 days into this kidnapping, we still don't have any closure to this?
You know, it's an experience I would always never wish anyone had, even though we have seen this happening a lot of times here. Only in this country we find over 200 children taken. A lot of times we find a lot of women and children taken. And sometimes we try to imagine that within your home and your 3-year-old boy or 4-year-old boy just left the living room and some 5-10 minutes, you not hearing him speaking or not finding him making the usual trouble. Sometimes you need to think about what your imagination will be. Just for 5 minutes. Not talk about a child expected to be in class, not being seen for a day, 2, 3 to 25. It's a lot of trauma. It's a traumatic experience. That 25 days must have been 25 days of vigils for these parents. I'm very sure that none of the parents of these children would have gone to sleep as early as the 8, 9 they have been doing for 25 days.
But you know, the school has reopened again, so some students are still back. How easy do you think their parent will sleep?
No, it's of course, their mind will always be there. In fact, it will even take courage for some of these parents to leave their children in such, you know, vicinity, because we've had instances where people have had to relocate their children. Even in Epe, we've had cases of kidnapping in the past. So people have had to, you know, transfer their children from, you know, such schools where this kidnapping is becoming, you know, a thing of a recurring decimal. And like I was saying initially, we cannot expect the police or every other security agencies to be everywhere in the corners of our towns or of our communities, but the citizens are everywhere. And the unfortunate thing you should also understand is that in all the hideouts that this criminal element use, especially those who have operated in the urban settings, taking for instance the case of Evans, they live within us. They live
who would have thought
within the communities.
That a major, big kingpin would live in a place like Magodo, a place where...
It's an indictment on our consciousness. The truth is that in all these communities, there are CDAs, the Community Development Associations, there are groups, you know, that are alliance landlords. In fact, there are even groupings on the streets in many of our communities in Lagos. And I think it is fundamentally wrong. No matter how private you want your life to be, or you want to live, that you don't really know the identity of the next door neighbor.
But where do you draw the line between prying or looking into someone else's business and just being a good neighbor? Where do you draw the line?
Or being an observant neighbor for that
matter. I think that's the word. You can be so private, you can live even without, you know, visiting the next compound for the next 5 years, but that does not take away the responsibility of trying to be conscious enough to study movement, to look with, you know, at your own level, the character of people in your neighborhood. If you live in an estate, you know, for instance, where you find motorcycles coming in and out of a home for like 2, 3, 4 times, when you find a car driving in, exchanging men to take another out. You know, these are, because some of the victims also narrated the experiences of how they are transferred from one vehicle to the other.
And these vehicles are from this same compound. The lifestyle that Evans lived in Magodo, it was a very quiet life. There's no way you would have suspected that the man was into a shady deal.
You would just think it's just some
Magodo was not even and their operational base. In actual fact, report has it that even the gang members don't know
where he lives.
So it was just an isolated, hideout for the kingpin. But the truth is that for others, they live within the community. They live in Igondo, they live in Jakonde Estate, where the police visited just yesterday, and we saw that these people have neighbors. They live in areas where ordinarily you can't say you want to live an isolated life, like somebody who is living in Magude.
All right, let's come back to the issue of policing schools in Lagos, for example. We heard the police chief, say recently that schools proprietors may want to reconsider citing their schools within riverine areas or lonely places like you have in the case of Igbonla. Now, how do you police some 700 secondary schools in Lagos and about 600,000 students? I mean, that is a tall order. So how can we close that gap?
I think this is beyond what the police as a force can do. This must be a drastic step that must be taken by the Lagos state government. The truth is that Nigeria is under-policed. Even the state of about 20 million people
yes, about 300,000 policemen to 170 million.
So even police our streets where crimes occur virtually every minute. Not talk of taking, and we must understand the importance of education, the importance of leaving our children to go to school. So we must also make that a priority. But while it may be difficult to remove the police and other security agencies from the streets, where there are crimes almost every minute, just because we want to secure our schools, I think the state must come out with a strong position on how and where schools now have to be cited.
Yeah. But
because without doing that, we may continue to have criminals taking advantages of the location of these schools.
But is that really the issue? Let's look at Lagos State, for example. Olufemi, let me butt in here. Take Lagos State, for example. It's jammed. There is no place. You don't even have a backyard anymore, typically, like you would in some areas. And for a school, you're not only going to school to study, to learn the books. There's so much more, that will bring about a wholesome student
that
at the end.
Space,
a lot of space, and you can't get that within Lagos, for example. You have to go to the outskirts like Epe or Badagry and places like that.
It has been one of the lack of our planning in the past, because a lot of times we fail to plan as a nation. We don't look at what the next 10, 20 years can be. And that is why today places ordinarily that are supposed to be schools are now markets. Places that are ordinarily supposed to be schools are now churches. Whereas, and others of things, if we had planned as a country that in the next 10, 20 years, the population of our students will increase, and these are supposed to be the locations where education can be conducive. We'll not find our schools now being cited in the swamps. Very unfortunate. But because we have failed to plan.
The idea would be you want to cite these schools outside the bustling and the shuffling of the city, where it's serene and quiet for students to learn. That was, I guess, the idea of having
not have been difficult
the school outside of the metropolis.
That would not have been difficult to plan within the confine of what we have as a metropolis. We have schools in every part of the world cited within the urban, not necessarily, getting influenced by the hustle and bustles of the society.
Yes.
It's all has to do with our planning. In this state today, we have areas that have been designated for businesses where you don't even find people living. Even in Lagos here, we have places that have been designated as residentials where you cannot even operate, an ordinary pure water factory. So these are issues of. So if we have done that for our education in the past, we'll not. But
and some of those residential areas too have been converted to commercial, full-blown commercial areas.
As it is now, the government must now look at how we can design a security framework that will focus on securing these areas where we have found ourselves taking our schools to. Because we cannot continue to secure the society when those people that are coming to manage the society in the future are being killed and being kidnapped.
So a lot of take home today, really the basic thing is the planning. We must plan. The government must plan, and of course the police also has to plan well. I think we'll leave it there.
Yes, we'll have to leave it there. Olufemi Lawson, the public affairs analyst, thank you so much for your time. Yes, it's Monday, day 25 of the kidnap of the Igbonla students. Hopefully by tomorrow, the story will change. Yes, for the better.
Yeah.